Dr. Pepper, baby, it's good and nice. Do do do. Hey, that song's gonna be stuck in everybody's head, bro. Oh, go on TikTok. You never heard that little jingle, man. Hey, what's going on? This is Mike Clark, the Keys and Knowledge team. Oh, it's big. It's official, my man. It's official. It's official. We had to take a pause until we got everything situated the right way. But Keys, you know what it is. It's Mike Clark, realtor out here in El Paso, Texas, with the Keys and Knowledge team, powered by the War Team, the Williams Advanced Realty Team. So today, man, we're gonna have a fire episode. Listen, it's gonna be a lot of Q&A. You know, if anyone comes on here, it's Q&A. Of course, if not, I'm gonna be asking myself questions because you guys know my motto, man. I don't care if there's one person watching, 0 people watching, 100 people watching. I'm gonna make the content. We're just gonna push it out, man. So it should be chill. Just overall, just give you an update on what I've been doing, my motivation. I promise you, being in the real estate game, like 24/7 as an investor, I could turn it on and off when I wanted to. And of course, you don't have to deal with people. You're just dealing with numbers. But on this side of being of the real estate in the real estate world, you're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of different personalities. So I promise you, I'm up, I'm down, I'm left, I'm right. Man, oh my God, it's something else. But you know what? This is a rewarding job. I promise you. So and it's what you put into it. So anyway, like I said, this is gonna be probably a long video, maybe about an hour some change, but this is gonna help me be able to cut content up throughout the week so I can keep pushing out information, man. So once again, man, if you hesitate to get on camera, bro. Just talk, vent, get it out. Get out your system, man. Get it out your system. But anyway, let's go right into it. So what I want to talk about today, like you guys see in the title, today's gonna be Q&A. We're gonna talk real estate. We're gonna talk about YPN, Young Professional Network. If you don't know, GEPAR has many committees within GEPAR as a whole, and under that umbrella, we have smaller committees. And the Young Professional Network is one of the committees that I enjoy being in. I'm actually the co-chair of YPN, and I'm established with other committees. I haven't done too much this year. Everything just started, of course, but I definitely want to get re-engaged with a couple other committees as well, just to stay informed. I think the best one that I like so far out of all the committees has to be the governmental committee. Just keep me updated on what's going on with the city, politics, overall housing, all that great stuff. I really do enjoy that one. But YPN, of course, if you're like 0 to 2 years in, there's no reason why you're not part of YPN. You don't have one reason why you're not part of YPN. Unless you just have a sphere of influence, you have tools, you have a sphere of professionals working with you. If you got all that, you got a team situated, okay. Got it. But that is not most of us, all right? It's not most of us. We got to be honest with ourselves. Do we want someone to help hold us accountable? Do we want to meet mentors? Do we want to be exposed to different things we can do within the industry? If you're saying yes to any of these, then you probably should be a part of YPN. So the next thing we're going to talk about is property tax exemptions. I have an upcoming seminar next month, downtown El Paso, the El Paso Library. I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be good. I'm going to have good information when it comes to that. I'm trying to get a couple people, guest speakers, to speak as well, so we'll see if that'll work. If not, you know how it's going to be, man. Me, myself, and I will be there regardless of the fact, and we will do it, rain, sleet, or snow. And listen, man, I have an open house. Everybody kept asking me, Mike, you have open house this weekend? Yes. I am from Indiana, South Bend, Indiana, to be specific. Look, and I ain't said go Hoosiers all year long, but you know who won the national championship, so I ain't even got to say it. But anyway, listen. Right now it's snow, knee deep right now. I've walked in this, all this stuff. So Now I've been out of it for a while too. So, but anyway, I'm used to it. So anyway, I will be having an open house this weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2 p.m. So I'm excited about that. That goes into what we're going to talk about when it comes to being a realtor. So like I said, if you have any questions, if you have any, if you ever thought about being a realtor, don't hesitate to let me know. It'll pop up on here on the screen. If you have any questions, like I said, we're also going to talk about property tax exemptions and PCS in the Fort Bliss for my Fort Bliss soldiers and people ETSing out and might need to sell homes. I definitely want to make sure you guys get some love too and be specific with you guys as well. So, if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in El Paso, if you're PCS in the Fort Bliss or you're confused about those property tax exemptions or how they actually work, I need you to join us live. All right. This is going to be an open Q&A where we break down in plain language. We'll cover property tax exemption in Texas, Homestead, disabled veteran, and more. I'm actually going to show you guys. I'll probably end up screen recording or sharing my screen so we can go to the Central Appraisal District. We'll read some stuff together. Not only do you guys get to see that resource, but it also helps me as well understand some more stuff. So I'm reading in real time, but I'm also understanding and retaining it. So later on, at some point in time, if I need to go back to that resource, I know where to find the information at, as well as, once again, trying to be the subject matter expert. I don't know everything. I'm telling you, I don't know everything, but this is what I do. I literally sit here. I mean, what time is it right now? It's 8:26 right now, p.m. And we're just going to go through the website. We're going to read the resources. And that's how I do things, man. That's how I do things. So anyway, so yes. And then, so the next thing we're going to talk about what military families need to know when they're PCSing the Fort Bliss. I definitely want to hit that up as well. Common mistakes buyers and homeowners make and how to avoid them. That's a big one. I think, most buyers, they're making simple mistakes and overthinking the process. And as a realtor, we're going to talk about it as well. Myself, and I'm definitely overthinking this thing, and I'm trying to keep it, simpler. I'm trying to keep it simpler overall. So I'm trying to get out of my head when it comes to certain things. The next thing, how realtors and YPN support education, transparency, and smart decisions. I want to talk a little bit about that. So if I have any realtors that watch my video every now and then, of course, I got to push that information out as well. And lastly, of course, your questions. It's going to be answered live. You want to put a question in, in the comment section, it should pop up right here in front of me. Let me know if it doesn't. But I believe it does. I'm seeing it right here on the right side of my screen. Now, we're going to go right into it, man. Right into it, right? So I want to go ahead and welcome you guys in, of course. Thank you for joining me live today. If you're hopping on, feel free to drop where you watch it from in the comments and let us know if you're a homeowner, buyer, realtor, or military family. All right. Today's live is a Q&A style conversation focused on real estate education, specifically property tax exemptions, military PCS moves to Fort Bliss, and how to make smarter decisions as a buyer or homeowner here in El Paso. And lastly, if you want to talk about anything else, of course, I'm gonna kind of freestyle this, but I do have a framework and a little script I'm working off of. So be patient with me. Of course, I'm gonna make it through. All right. Now we're gonna go right into this live is for homeowners who want to better understand their property taxes, buyers who don't want surprises after closing. Let's see what we got. We got Sammy 447. Hey, bro, I love to support your journey. I can connect you with the top Twitch streamer who streams thousands, has 3 million followers, and earns big. He helps streamers gain organic viewers, active chatters, and loyal fans who donate, gift, and sub. If you're serious about growth, add him on Discord. Man, Sammy, hey, I appreciate you stopping by. This is real estate conversation, man. So, I definitely enjoy that, of course. But I don't know if this is going to be the type of demographic that's going to benefit this individual right here, man. But appreciate it anyway, man. Thank you. All right. So once again, the next thing, like I said, we already talked about that. And so let's start with the property tax exemptions because this is where a lot of confusion happens. So we're going to talk about, like I said, homestead exemption basics. So just think about purchasing a home. You're not only purchasing your home with a mortgage, which that covers your interest and of course your principal. Those are the things you're really paying, the main things you're paying, of course, right? But then you have what's called escrow. Escrow is going to have your taxes and your insurance put on there. Taxes and your insurance, you know. And if there's anything else, you might be able to roll that in. I don't know. I'm not a subject matter expert on that, but at a minimum, your taxes and insurance will be in your escrow, right? Now, when you get your home, if it's your primary residence, you have a couple of you have an option, right? And I want to say it's not an option. You need to do it, but you need to file for your homestead exemption. This is only for if this is your primary residence. Now, I'm going to show you guys something, because basically, if you don't understand what a homestead exemption is, it's basically giving you put in simpler terms, a discount off of your actual property tax bill. Understand that your property tax bill is broken up into multiple entities, 4 to 5 entities that is charging your home every year, and you're paying that. You know, your mortgage company is breaking it up monthly, of course. So you guys can stay with it, but overall, you're being charged. Your property is being assessed. Well, matter of fact, let's do it like this. Let's say your property, you buy a house, it's $100,000. And the city just assessed the value on that property. It's $100 grand. All right. Now you have school corporations, you have emergency services, you have emergency services, you have that, you have the county. If you're living in the city, if you're living in the county, you don't pay city tax for some odd reason. I don't understand how that's possible. And then there's a couple other entities with it as well. So they're all assessing your property, and then there's the tax rate associated with that entity of how much they're going to charge you to basically live in your home, man. I mean, they're taking a little bit of piece of the pie so they can go ahead and give you all the services that you utilize throughout the city, you know, throughout the county, you know, your roads, your sidewalks, your parks, all these things that are publicly accessible is paid through by property taxes. So that's how that comes about. And then if you add your homestead exemption, once again, if your property is $100,000 and it'd be assessed at $100,000 fully, you're going to get a discounted rate of maybe, I don't know, 5-10%, something like that. It's nothing too crazy, but it still gives you a break on that your overall property tax bill. So I'm going to show you guys here. Let me go here because I got 2 screens. So I'm going to show you what I got here so I can share my screen. Share screen, window. No, this one. Here we go. All right. So central. All you gotta do is type in central appraisal district. You guys see, I go there a lot, man. I go there a lot. So central appraisal district, you got a 3.0, man. That's, you already know it's not good, man. But just they're not that bad, man. I go in, if I have a question, there's always somebody willing to help. Sometimes there is a line, so be patient. But the moment you walk in, sometimes there's already a security guard there, or it's El Paso police. They're there. Don't be scared. It's okay. I guess they just got security for irate property tax owners. You know, homeowners, man. They got security for that. Now, you're gonna get greeted. There's somebody in there as soon as you walk in. To the right, there's a big, large window. They can definitely direct you where you need to go, or you can just walk. But 9 times out of 10, they might stop you, or they might end up saying, "Hey, you need any help?" They'll direct you where you need to go. For example, I had a question on public records for property taxes and finding out what my neighbors were paying on their property taxes. So, you know, me being nosy because I want to find out how the process goes. That's what I did. I asked, "Hey, where can I get public records information?" They said, "Oh, just move on to the left, go on, stand in line, wait for someone available to speak to. You can go from there." And that's how I got that information. But that's how easy it is. Just go in the door, go to the right. Somebody's going to be there, and they'll direct you where you need to go. Yes, but anyway, you buy your house, You ready to file your homestead exemption? That's the office you're gonna go to. You're gonna walk in, go to the left, you'll stand, you'll wait for somebody, and they will help you with the paperwork. They'll at least give you the paperwork. Now, one thing you need to know before you go is if you do move into a house, you need to make sure that your driver license has your new address, where they can't do anything for you. Like, man, that's frustrating, bro. It's frustrating because you go through this process and you gotta wait, and then you go to the DMV and you get a piece of paper, changing your address, but they're still not gonna accept that paper ID card. You're gonna need the physical card. Once that's done, then you can go down there, apply for everything. They'll file it, they'll stamp it, and then you're good to go. But anyway, we're gonna click on this. We're just gonna go through this very quickly, man. Just very quickly. So what I use it for, like I said, you can go in here on social media. It'll break down all of these different platforms for you. Now I'm gonna click it just so you guys can see, letting you guys know how much this is utilized through the city. All right. So these platforms are here, right? How many people are actually signed up as followers for this? Let's see. A handful. Let me see. A handful might be on here. Let me see. It doesn't give you a number like it normally does, but I mean, like I said, it's just giving you days when they're open, when they're not. Some information about protesting, no fee associated with protesting, but it's still not enough. If you're utilizing Facebook for your information from Citra Appraisal, that might not be enough, But you have Instagram, LinkedIn, X, YouTube. Now, news. I use news a lot just to stay updated with some stuff. They put public service announcements on here. Look at this. Notice to taxpayers 2026. January 4th is when it came out. Let's see what this says. Now we're talking about exemptions now. Here we go. All right. So listen. Notice to taxpayer, no fee required. Business, personnel, property. Let me see. We're not going to talk about that. Real estate, deadline to file redemptions, property reports. All right. No, we don't want to talk about that. So deadline is postponed to the next business day, blah, blah, blah. Now here go exemptions. Residential homestead exemption, over 65 exemption, over 55 surviving spouse of a person. Of course, you got medical disability, veteran disability, surviving spouse, 100% total disability. Now, see, these are important as well. A lot of us know that if you're 65 and older, you get an exemption, and if you're 100% disabled, most of us understand that those are main exemptions. But look at all of these other exemptions that are available if you're eligible. So this may fall under your grandfather, grandpa, grandma. This could fall under someone 55. This could also, if somebody was married to a soldier and he ended up passing away, deceased, then you still have some options here. So that's why I say go on here. This may not benefit you, but maybe benefit someone you know. So that information's here, right? Like I said, you get the public service announcements. That'll put that here. Now, current publications, filing a protest. What is a protest? A protest is you protesting your assessed value on your property. Not your property taxes necessarily, but the assessed value. So like I said, let's go back to that example of your property being $100,000. And next year, like say it was $100,000 in 2025, and now they assessed it the following year, 2026, and now we're at like $160,000. What's changed? Your property's still the same. The neighborhood still looks the same. Nothing's different, right? But it's crazy because I give you a great example. Like my city, they don't assess properties the exact same. What I've noticed with El Paso is they will basically be assessing your property at market value. So if your house is available to sell on market at $200,000, they're assessing your property at $200,000. Where I'm from, where I was born and raised, I mean, some of those properties, it could be, the house could be worth 200,000, but they may assess it at like 150, 140, so they're not necessarily maxing your house out. But in El Paso, for some reason, man, I've noticed that, not with all houses, but majority of them, they're like online. I don't know if that's how it is city to city, state to state, but that's what I'm used to. But over here, yeah, like I said, it's a little different, man. But filing a protest allows you to do a couple different things now. Once again, I give a disclaimer. I'm not telling you how to do your taxes or none of that. I'm not a tax person. I'm just, real estate agent. I want to give you some information, share these resources that I love, that's easy and readily accessible. That's the crazy thing, man, because a lot of people go down to the city, they'll yell at the mayor, they'll yell at the city council members, they'll yell at everybody, right? And then all they're gonna say is, well, look, the information's out there, you just gotta find it. And that's when that's being disingenuous. They know nobody's doing this unless you somebody who deals with this day to day. You're not looking for this information, but it'd be nice to have it, right? It'd be nice to have it or know about it, but people aren't looking at this stuff, man. So listen, this is explaining exactly what we're talking about. So what do I do if I don't agree at the informal meeting? Now, the first meeting, so if you protest your taxes, which I've done a couple times, they'll put you in a room one-on-one with I don't know if this guy's an appraiser or this lady's an appraiser or what their title is, right? But that's the first step. The first step is sitting down with one individual. I don't know if they represent CAD or who they represent. But anyway, they're strictly trying to go back and forth. You have to have some sort of supporting evidence of why you believe your home, it should not be assessed at what the Central Appraisal District says it is. Once again, for example, your home is $100,000. The following years, it goes up to 160. The Central Appraisal District is supporting that evidence by homes in your area. It's supposed to be in your area, within a certain radius, supporting the evidence that your home is worth this, right? Your job is to prove that wrong, and you could do that a couple different ways. You could bring in some documents or receipts of repairs you've done on the home, issues with the home, photos of the inside of the house, something proving that, hey, this home is not, this is not market value. I got stuff going with the property, property is being maintained, but it does have some issues with it. So you got to show that piece, right? Or you can show, hey, listen, I see you found 3 properties similar in size, similar in structure, similar everything. And yes, they closely resemble each other. And yes, you may think these homes are about the same. And that's why you justify my price being at 200,000. However, I know 3 other homes that are identical to mine looks they're a little closer to mine, similar, and they're less, So that's when you'll take those homes, those comparables, and you'll show it to this individual and say, hey, this is my supporting evidence. Let's see what we can do. Can we meet in the middle, or can you take what I'm giving you guys as evidence to go ahead and assess my property a little lower? So now I can tell you can do that by yourself, or if you want, you can definitely do that with a realtor, a professional. I have no problem giving you what's called a CMA, comparable market analysis. Other realtors are available to do that. I don't know if they do it for free. I don't know if they're going to do it that way. However, I have no problem doing it. If you want to give me a call, let me know. Hey, Mike, I'm living over here. Here's my address. Do you mind doing a quick CMA for me? I'm getting ready to protest my taxes. Absolutely. I got you. Absolutely. So there's no problem with that. I also found out that Central Appraisal District has, and I got to get on this list. There's a list of realtors that volunteer their time just for that. Is that marketed out? Hell no. Excuse my language. No, it's not. So if you've been doing this by yourself, know that there is a resource that the Central Appraisal District has where there are realtors who are basically doing a pro bono type deal, and they can do a CMA for you that you can use when you go to protest your taxes. Hopefully we run into that, right? All right, so now what can I expect at the ARB hearing? Both the property owner and the appraisal district will present evidence, and rebuttal to the evidence may be offered. Once again, that's what I was talking about. Both parties make closing arguments. The ARB panel deliberates the issue presented and votes on the matter. Okay, so this is the second part. So if you and the first individual can't agree on the assessed value or your property taxes overall, then you say, hey, listen, I want to appeal what you're saying, and let me go to the next level. Hey, ask Mike what he does. I'm appealing every single time. We do not get along. I don't know if it's my language. I don't know if it's my body language. I don't know if it's the way I'm talking. I have no idea. But I never agree at the first level. Never. I always got to go to the second floor, and I always got to sit in front of a panel. And me and this guy that goes back and forth. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it. Every time we go, it's just, man, golly. But anyway, I always go. I always go. So I've met people that say, yeah, man, the first person I sit down with is easy. Boom. We agree on a number and I'm out of there. No, not Mike. Never had that. So yeah, so you got a resource right here. It tells you the information. It tells you a little bit about what's an informal meeting. And if you don't agree with an informal meeting, like I said, that's the first piece, the informal meeting, right? And then the second piece, if you don't agree with the informal meeting, then you'll get moved up to the ARB hearing, and that's a panel. Usually it's supposed to be a panel of realtors and panel of, I don't know if it's one citizen. I don't know if it's like that, but you got panel nonetheless. So make sure you have your evidence ready. Make sure you have it uploaded. If you have anything digital, they're not going to look at phones and none of that stuff. So you want to submit all that stuff early. So make sure you're getting that stuff ready. Now, this is more information here, right? Home value and then taxes. How does my value affect my taxes? We were just talking about this. Placing a value on your home is the first step in the property tax process. The appraisal district sets the taxable value of all properties in the county. Your local government, now this is the part you got to pay attention to. Your local governments, like the county, city, school districts, and special purpose districts, like a water and emergency districts, those are located, those are those PUDs, right? We were talking about, we've been talking about that for a while if you've been following me. So you got the water and emergency districts will use the total value of your property in their jurisdiction to set a tax rate according to the local's government budget, which are set based on the amount of money it will take to provide public services. So these entities are paying the central appraisal district to go out and create these home values. All right. So understand that part. And that's when they come up with the rates and then they boom, there you go. Right. So the first step is trying to limit your tax bill is to make sure the appraisal district places a fair value on your home. The Texas legislature has created a legal process for property owners to appeal the appraisal district's value. Now, you may ask, how many homes are in El Paso, Mike? There's just a lot of homes. Now you may say, hey, Mike, does someone go out and appraise my home in person? No, they don't. Now, they might do it case by case, depending on how many times you've challenged your assessed value. But they use a software. This is why AI is getting big, man. It's getting big. They got a software where they do a mass appraisal. Okay. You may say this is not right. This is not fair, but this is how they're doing it because it's too many houses and they don't have enough appraisers. All right. So that being said is if the homes are not close to yours or they can't find a home that's similar to yours, they're just going to push out. Like I said, normally when they assess a value and they're looking at comparables, other homes that are similar to yours, it's within like I don't know, half a mile to 5 miles. I know for me, when I do CMAs on people's properties, I'm looking at half a mile radius, and then from there, we're jumping out half a mile each time until we can find some real comparables. But here, man, I tell you, some people I found out their homes being assessed and they have comparables 20 miles out, 30 miles out. Think about that. Your home is sitting in, say, for example, the Northeast. It's sitting in the Northeast, and your house is being assessed because it's unique all the way out in Horizon. How does that match? It's totally different location, different amenities, different houses, different median income coming in. Like it makes no sense, but that's what happens. That is what happens, right? Let's see. The appraisal district will send you a notice by April 1st or as soon thereafter of the market value of your home. Now, I also want to tell you as well. So for new builds, if you bought a new build before it was assessed, understand this. You need to get that your property tax bill is going to skyrocket, and you got to be prepared for that. So when they're doing your closing disclosure and they're planning out your escrow, and your escrow isn't crazy because your taxes are like $100 or $200, guess what? They're assessing your property taxes based off the land because that's what was there before. It was land, it was dirt. Then a developer came, they built a $200,000-$300,000 home on it. It's yet to be assessed. Once that next year comes, that the home has been on that property, boom, you're being assessed at $300,000. Now your escrow balloons from $200 to maybe $5,000 a year. Now you're paying an extra $200-$300 a month on your mortgage. So understand that as well. If you know anybody buying a new build, and I tell anybody buying a new build this information, right? We got to make sure, we got to be careful. We got to understand that, right? You can watch a bunch of videos on TikTok if you don't believe me, and people crying and bawling because they done lost their house. They done lost their house because they didn't understand that key point. And I can't blame the realtor. I can't blame the realtor or the title company because they're not saying anything wrong, because at the point of you buying it, it's truthful. It is truthful, and they may end up letting you know, hey, your property tax will be assessed at a later date and it's going to go to here. But what a lot of builders like to do, because I can't say it's all bad with builders, right? What builders will do is, those first set of homes that are built, yeah, those ones, they won't have any sort of history of what after build assessment is going to look like. But once they've built so many homes and they've been in that area for a year or two and they're still building, they're going to go off of what's in the area, right? And that's going to give them an idea, a projection of what your home will be, your property tax would be. So they do. I have seen that happen before, right? Now, you may ask, Mike, well, what can I protest? This is telling you excessive value. If you believe the appraisal district value your home is too high, you can protest that. You want to protest that. Why? Because that brings down your property taxes, because you're being taxed at that rate. Whatever that rate is for that entity, they're taxing you by that, saying your home is worth $300,000 when it's only worth $100. You don't want to overpay, right? Now you got unequal appraisal. If you believe the appraisal district appraise your home at a higher proportion of its value than comparable properties. These are properties within your neighborhood, right? Once again, I wanted to be nosy. I wanted to find out information because I got tired of it and I heard it over and over and over. Well, I use my neighbors as supporting comparables when it came to supporting why I believe my home should be assessed at a certain property value, right? Well, they said, well, you don't know what they claimed, and you don't know if they put in something saying that they had hardships or this or that, right? I don't know. But what I do know is Joe Sprung house over here looks exactly like mine, and yet their property taxes are lower than mine. I'm sorry, you just got to be real about this. I'm not trying to overpay if everybody else is here. Like, why I got to overpay? It's just a fair question. What I found out, and you guys, this is tea, man. This is game. This is real game right now I'm giving you. You can go to the Central Appraisal District. They have their own open records department. They keep track of their own files. You don't have to go down to the city. Now, the city does it too for departments, right? But Central Appraisal District does theirs. You go in there, you say, hey, I'd like to do an open records request. And they say on what? They don't ask you, but you just run with me, right? They're gonna say for what? You are literally gonna put on the paper 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street. That's your neighbor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your other neighbor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your other neighbor. Give me all the documents, all the supporting documents of what they used last year in supporting their property tax bill to be as low as it is. They're gonna show it to you, bro. Surprise, surprise. I'm telling you, I did this. So I know it's real. All right. I get animated because it's real. So now this says, keep in mind, it's very important that you preserve your right to protest to the ARB by filing a notice of protest by May 15th. At the moment I get it, moment I get mine, April 1st, I promise you, once it comes to the mail, I am already requesting online, or I'm turning whatever I got to turn in by mail, or I'm dropping it off at the Central Appraisal District. So I don't forget. It's happening. I'm going. I don't care. And you can do this online, over the phone. They do a Zoom, and you can do it in person. So, hey, do with that you may. Now, it does take a minute to get the appointment time back. And, if you got to reschedule, you got to reschedule. But I turn mine in as soon as I can. Now, so what do I do if I don't agree with my set value? You may resolve the matter with the appraisal district, like I said, in an informal meeting. Never works for me. Hope you get better luck than I do. An informal meeting is a meeting where you can sit down one-on-one with an appraiser. Okay, so it's an actual appraiser, and discuss the value of your home. In most cases, the vast majority of disputes are settled during the informal process. Now, understand that too, man. That is a trained, you're going one-on-one with a trained appraiser who's been through school, through training, all sorts of things, man. All sorts of different things. So it's kind of going to court without a lawyer. I would highly suggest you try to seek professional guidance before you just go, especially if you have no idea of how these meetings go and what supporting evidence you need and what it looks like. I would suggest talk to a lawyer, talk to a realtor, try to get some information if you can before you go. Don't go blindly. Like my first time going, before I was a realtor, I didn't know what I was doing, but I went. A lot of things you guys see me do, I'm winging it, bro. I'm literally winging it. But you live and you learn. I mean, this is probably the better. This is definitely the better way to do it. But sometimes you just don't have time to do it. I'm just being real with you. All right, so that's this, right? So now filing homestead. That was the other thing we talked about, right? Boom, that's here. That is here as well. I'm gonna go through too much of this, but this right here is going to give you some information, right? Eligibility requirements for a homestead exemption. You may qualify if you owned your property on January 1st, occupied it as your principal residence January 1st. You and your spouse do not claim a residence homestead exemption on any other property. Remember, it has to be your primary residence. And you have a valid Texas driver license or Texas ID with the property address. Remember, it cannot be the paper copy. It needs to be the actual physical copy. And then so you got more information, right? If you're age 65 and older, you're disabled person exemption. This tells you, right? If you're 65 and older, you're disabled individual, you qualify for an additional 10,000 homestead exemption for school taxes. We actually just voted on that last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but we had voted on, I don't know, they were called proclamations, not proclamation. They were voted, what were they called? Hey, I can't remember what they were called, what they named them. It was crazy, but anyway, we voted on that last year. And so you were able to get $10,000 more off of your school tax. Now, remember, these are entities. So you're talking about the $10,000 off the school entity. So if you're talking about Sakura ISD, SISD, whatever their tax rate is, whatever they assess you at, and whatever your total property amount that their portion of what they're collecting, take $10,000 off if you're 65 and older. That's what that means. All right. So, and then let's go into, there's one more thing I want to show you guys on here before I get out. And remember, man, just come on here, play around, look at it. That's the only way you're gonna get better, right? And look, these are all the entities, right? All the entities that could possibly be on your tax bill. Now, you may say, Mike, how do I find out my tax bill? And what does it look like? Let's find out. What I do is I just Google El Paso city taxes. And I do this before all my open houses. Just to let you know. Now they changed this up. This is all new. Isn't it? And it used to look like this. Makes it look, I don't like this, man. I don't like this. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, so we give search an address. Let's do, y'all already see my stuff, right? Let me see. I want to do, let's do, go to Zillow. go to Zillow. Let's go to this house, for example, right here. All right. So we're going to put this address in, right? Let's see what the property taxes says for this. Now, Zillow should have it here, right? Zillow, I think Zillow gives you what they believe the property taxes are. Public tax history. Boom. See this? Zillow got it right here. It says about 8,000, 8,500. They assessed this property at 330. But listen, look. Zillow also says the thing's only 297. You see what I'm saying? They're what? They're overpaying. You know, the city saying assessed value is 330 and market compared to what Zillow's saying. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it's 297. Like that's crazy, right? But anyway, that proves my point right there. So are we gonna put this in? Usually you just need a street. I just put the street. And then I don't put nothing else in, and it usually comes up. So it gives you all the information, right? Boom. Whoever owns this is an LLC. Tells you address information. It tells you prior year amount due. If they pay the taxes, it tells you current amount due. Total amount due. So it shows you all that, right? But now you may say, hey, Mike, how do I find those entities you were talking about? How do I find the breakdown? You go right here, and then we're going to go right here. Now, this is going to give you a breakdown of your taxes. Once again, man, Mike is giving you game right now, man. Giving you straight game. I promise you. All right? So, now listen, here we go. Market value. This is what the city is assessing this property at. Just the land itself, $43,000. That's the land. Now the improvements, the structure, $286,943. Now the appraised value. This is what they're saying the value of the home is worth overall, land and home included. $330. Now some of you guys might be saying, well, it should be like land plus improvements equal appraised value. That's not how it works. But I'm gonna just to prove a point, we're going to add that up, right? 43411 plus 286,943. That's 330, right? That's 330. No. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I'm sorry. I'm not doing the math right in my head, but yeah, that's it. That is it. The improvement plus the land is the appraised value. See, this is going up over time as well. I'm thinking this is like when they, I don't know, never mind. It is what it is. But yeah, that's the total, right? It says value. It tells you the homestead, the home suite value, right? But these are the entities I was telling you about. You have the city of El Paso for this property, El Paso ISD, Independent School District, County of El Paso, right? El Paso Community College, because we're paying for community college as well. The University Medical Center. Okay, so this homeowner has to pay for these entities. This is assessed value by who? Central Appraisal District, who does this for the entities. The entities pays Central Appraisal District. That's what allows them to do this. Okay, they have a tax rate. This is a tax rate. City of El Paso, this is their tax rate. So when they're saying, hey, the city of El Paso's tax rate is going up, this is what they mean, right? The higher this goes up, you multiply that by this, you're gonna get your tax rate, right? So that's what you're doing. EPISD, same thing. So you guys can see it. So the city of El Paso for this home, that's 330. The city of El Paso is collecting 2,500. El Paso ISD, usually the school district is collecting crazy amount of money. This is why I say go to those meetings, because your money it's not a couple dollars, bro. You giving these school districts all this money, giving the city all this money. You giving El Paso Community College. Now I would say about EPCC, bro, they're doing it, man. Like they're rated high, great quality professors. I've noticed, man. I mean, I went to school for a little bit too. That school is like next level, man. Valley Verde, nice. They're doing improvements. Like I like what they're doing, man. I really do. Not only that, you see it right here, man. They're not asking for a lot. So I don't know what they're doing to the point that they can keep their tax rate low, but they're doing it, bro. They're doing it. But they also don't have as many schools as certain districts do either, right? But I believe, is my point, when it comes to these school districts, is like it's just too many schools, man. And unfortunately, we don't have enough students. And I get that people want to keep schools here. They want them in the neighborhoods. I get it. But I can tell you what, man, I'm 36 years old. I don't have an elementary anymore. I don't have I still have my middle school. My middle school's still up, but they've converted it from, I remember I was 1 through 5th grade and they changed it and grew it, right? 5th through whatever the hell difference they changed it. And I don't have a high school. My high school closed down. My elementary turned and repurposed into helping preteens, pregnancy moms, so that's what they converted it to. I'm not saying that to say, hey, but that's what's gonna have to happen, man. That's the only way to justify this price. They gotta bring this down, man. You gotta bring this down. The only way to bring it down is close to these schools down, bro. But anyway, like I said, man, in the University Medical Center, I'm paying for this too, man. And I've never been to this hospital, not one time, but I know people need that hospital. So I just want to stop by. I want to check out. I want to see what my money's paying for, and I challenge everybody else to do the exact same thing. I've been reading some articles, man, that the president or the CEO or some people are taking bonuses from over here, man. And I just want to find out. So I haven't done a lot of research on it. It's just information I've heard. But anyway, the total amount they're paying a year is $8,000. $8,000 a year is going to property taxes. So this will be packaged into your escrow if you have a mortgage. So they'll divide this by 12, and then boom, you're paying that monthly up until you pay the $8,700. So as you can see, man, this could price people out of buying a home. Easy. All right. So that's some free game, man. That's just free game for you guys. Let me see. Let's see. So now, go ahead and stop sharing my screen. So yeah, man, that's the Central Appraisal District. It's a little long. Man, I spent 40 minutes on that. But I think it was worth it. That's good content, good information for you guys. Go on the Central Appraisal District website. Just play around with it. If you're uninformed of how to protest your taxes, go through it. If you don't understand the ARB hearings, go through it. All that information is there. The tax codes are there. All the information you need is there. It is. But once again, you have to have the time to do it, right? This information is not marketed out to everybody. It's not on Google and YouTube, and it's not readily accessible. You have to go to the website. You have to read through this information. But one great thing is if you use an AI, you can use AI. What I do a lot, because I don't understand half this stuff. I'll open it up, I'll copy it, I'll take it to ChatGPT, and I say, explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, and it will break it down to you, man. I think that's one thing that's happening. It's an uprising, man, when people challenge city leaders and everybody else, because so much information is out there. And if you know how to use it, you can support your argument, and everything's available using ChatGPT and AI platforms, man. I promise you that. But anyway, yeah. So that's the tax portion of what we're talking about, right? I didn't want to spend that much time on it, but whew. Now we're going to segue right into PCSing to Fort Bliss. All right. If you don't know, prior military service, I PCS to Fort Bliss. I was stationed in Fort Illisheim, Germany. I was there for 3 years. I did a tour out in Afghanistan out there as well. Went over to Afghanistan from there. And yeah, I PCSed here. It was not an easy transition at all because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have a sponsor. Well, I didn't have a sponsor because they were moving me around. I didn't have direct orders. You're supposed to be given a sponsor. That sponsor program is just, they need to redo it. For citizens, so civilians or anybody who don't know what a sponsor is, basically if you're stationed at a certain location and you're moving to another location, which is a requirement through the military, a requirement through the Army, Like every 3 years or every 2 years, you're going to move base to base. But to help with that transition, they give you a liaison called a sponsor who's supposed to help you identify what you need and get you prepared for the move, and help you out with the move, right? That is not going on because half the time it's not a legit sponsor. They didn't go through the training. They don't know nothing about the city themselves. They don't know what housing is. So that sponsor program is horrendous. So let me be your sponsor. Let me be your sponsor. You got questions, concerns, want to know about the city climate, you want to know about the energy out here, you want to know anything specific, hit me up. I have no problem talking to you. If you want me to go through a house because you've seen a house on Zillow or you connected with a realtor, but you didn't commit and you somehow you got to me and now you want to commit or you're thinking about committing, I promise you, I'm gonna work for your business and I will go out to the home, give you a Zoom call or whatever we need. We'll record and look at the house on the outside. We'll go inside, room to room, wall to wall. We'll open drawers. We'll do all those great things, before you even get it, so you can rest assured everything will be done right. Okay, that will help with your transition. Instead of you kind of winging it, hoping everything's okay and things are going to line up. You get here, you're stuck in a hotel. Now you're trying to race because you want to get out of that hotel. Now, on top of that, you still got to get to formation, go to work, and you got your family. You're stressed out. And that's my job, is to make things less stressful. And I can say that with ease because I dealt with it. I dealt with that, man. I dealt with that, moving kids across the country, shoot, over water, man. We were stationed overseas and now we back on American soil and we got to figure this out. And I've never been to Texas before, so it was a whole thing for me, right? So I understand those pain points. So once again, reach out to me. And one of the biggest things, buying versus renting during PCS, that's difficult, man. It's difficult, especially because if you're trying to find something specific, if you're renting, it's a little difficult. I would say the rental market is all over the place right now, man. Nothing's really consistent at this point, to me, be honest. And that's not just because I want you to buy a home with me. If you want to rent and that's the best situation or that's the best option for you, of course, rent. You want to get to know the area before you buy. I totally get it. However, you have this tool called the VA home loan. With that VA home loan, you're allowed to use that. How many times can you use it? As many times as you like. You just need to live in the house at least for a year, right? So it makes sense to buy something. It makes sense to build equity. It makes sense to buy something at every duty station. If you're fighting for your country, if you're in the military full time, use it to your benefit. Use every resource possible. Do not complain about the military because, like it or not, man, the military pays for so many different things. But if you don't utilize the programs, you don't look for the resources, yeah, it's a waste of time. You're right. It's a waste of time. But for the ones that know, best decision they ever made. Best decision they ever made. So if you are the one thinking about, oh, this is the worst decision of my life, call me right now. Call me and talk to me. I will put it in your head that this was the best decision of your life. Best decision. And you just got to maximize those opportunities that are in front of you. But I don't believe that they're there because you're not talking to anybody. You're not talking to anybody. All right. So yeah, so when we talk about VA loan misconceptions, you need to understand, yeah, go ahead and rent, do what you got to do. But I would also say, hey, if there's a duplex available and you can get in a home for a 0% down payment, makes no sense why you don't do it. Makes no sense, taxes, exemptions, and timelines after closing. We want to make sure that if you're PCS and you are buying a house, you understand what your taxes are going to be because, yeah, you're not going to be a disabled vet if you're still in, right? So you are concerned about the taxes. You're going to be concerned about exemptions. That's one thing that I love to do is make sure that, hey, once again, I'm not the right person. I'm not a tax attorney or tax person at all, but I can align you with the resources that you need. So when you're looking at exemptions, I'm going to say, hey, listen, let's make sure we make a stop over to the Central Appraisal District so you can understand which exemptions you qualify for. All right. Timelines after closing. We need to understand, okay, how long do we have to make our first payment? Our timelines when it comes to if you're purchasing overseas or you're purchasing while in transit, you need to make sure you have a realtor who understands your timeline when it comes to inspections, when it comes to option period, when it comes to appraisals, when it comes to final walkthrough. These things have to happen. And you may forget this stuff, but that's my job to make sure things are smooth as possible. And that's why local guidance matters when you PCSing, man. There's no reason for you to try to think you have to do it by yourself. And if you can do it all day, every day, man. But I just don't see why you would want to, gain that knowledge, use somebody, lean on somebody, gain that information that you need. PCS moves are fast and decisions are often made under pressure. I'm telling you this because I dealt with it. I was making decisions under pressure. How I found my first apartment was because someone else had it and they got caught. But I was moving so fast, I didn't know if I was making the right decision. I just had to find me a lease. I needed to find me a place before first formation. I got like a week to find a location, man. I don't know. That don't give me enough time to know the area, know this and know that. I didn't talk to nobody but me, myself, and I. All right. So the goal is to remove confusion and protect your long-term financial position. That's the goal, man. That's the goal. All right. Now, we're going to segue into something different, man. We're going to move off of that. So you guys know I've been a realtor for a little bit. It's been moving. We've been moving. Now, it's a lonely world, bro. I'm going to be honest. This is when Mike gets real, man. I'm telling you. And what's real with me versus other people, man, I don't care. I honestly don't care. I will tell you, hey, Mike, hey, I have not done anything as of yet. I'm doing X, Y, and Z with my clients. I'm real, man. I'm gonna keep it real, but I'm gonna also tell you, listen, I'm also not quitting. I'm not quitting. That's one thing about me, man. You're gonna see me posting. You're gonna see me over here, over there. Integrated. I'm gonna continue to work hard, even when no one else wants to work hard around me. But there are a lot of people working hard. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of hardworking people out there. But I'm telling you, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just moving, man. I'm moving. But I understand my goal when it comes to the real estate game is to be that realtor that I wanted when I was going through the home buying process. That's it. I want to be a subject matter expert. So if you ask me a question about developments, if you ask me about what side of town may be unique for this or unique for that, I might be able to tell you. I want to be that person that, hey, you don't have to worry about timelines. You don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about you losing your escrow money. Listen, I take a lot of pride in what I do. I want to become the best at it. I'm always like that, no matter what position I'm in. So, yeah, man. But one of the things that's really helped me is studying. Studying, of course, like I said, when I went to the Real Estate Academy, if you're out here in El Paso, Texas, that has helped me tremendously when I got in. Like, gave me a lot of knowledge, foundational knowledge when it came to paperwork, timelines, what to look at. However, when you get with a brokerage, there's certain platforms you're going to use. You got to start learning those platforms. So I'm thinking we're just doing straight paper contracts. We're going to write this and write that. And you can, but I want to utilize the program because it is much easier. And when it comes to the real estate game, man, you have to have systems. I'm learning systems, man. Like, things can get overwhelming very quickly. I can tell you right now, man, these last 3 weeks, I've been running. I've been over here to over here to over here to over here. Like, I have not stopped moving. I don't know how I found time to do this. That's how busy I've been, right? But, I'm making time. I'm finding a way. I want to make sure my clients are happy and everybody has what they need to have, and I don't want no one to say, hey, Mike didn't do right by me. That's all I want. I want to make sure that everyone's getting the best possible experience when it comes to buying or selling their home. That's my goal. That is my goal. All right. Now I've been using There's a lot of resources I've been using, but I want to talk specifically about the YPN for my realtors because this is the content I'm really going to break up into the YPN. I'm just going to post that stuff. They're going to be like, man, this page was not this active. You know, it's active, but it wasn't this active. I want to post a lot of stuff, you know, so hopefully my chair doesn't get upset and like, oh, Mike, you need to bring that down. I had to tell her today, I said, hey, let me know if I'm doing too much. Let me know if I'm doing too much. But anyway, so YPN, Young Professional Network. This is a network within Gepar, right? It's like a mini Gepar, but it's within Gepar. Gepar is our local El Paso Real Estate Association, the Greater El Paso Realtor Association, right? Then you have these subcommittees within it, right? Governmental, YPN, you have benefits, all these different committees, right? But YPN is one of those top ones. I believe if you're 0 to 2 years, 3 years in, you want to utilize this one because what I found out coming in, it's like once you get your license, you get your brokerage, your business starts then. It starts then. So just think about it. If you got a client day one and you somehow get a buyer's rep agreement, they need to get pre-approved. Who's your lender? Okay. You don't have a lender. You're about to sell a house. Somehow you representing someone's house. You got a listing. You now need an escrow officer for your MLS to put in your MLS. You know, who's going to take care of the paperwork for you. You don't have a team. You don't have no escrow officer. Okay. You got a buyer. You signed a buyer rep agreement. Now you need an inspection done. Who's your inspector? Who do you have resources you can give your client? And I hate being that person that says I don't have none. I don't know anybody. No. One you can utilize as a client, customer, use whoever you want to use, right? As a realtor, you want to have a list of subject matter experts that you can refer to people. You know, I want to be that. I want to be like, and I enjoy it when someone says, "Hey, Mike, I don't have a inspector. Can you give me a list of inspectors I can choose from?" Absolutely. Today, I had a client. I'm doing information. I'm doing everything I need to do on it. Calling realtors, getting some information on the home, right? I'm enjoying that part. And we now need to go see the house come Tuesday, right? But there's some things that, you know, we're going to do when it comes to negotiations, some other stuff, right? And that's going to require us to have a contractor out there. Well, I'm not just going to find you a contractor. I'm going to give you a list of contractors, send them over to you, interview them, call them, review, you know, find out more about them, and then you pick them out. You let me know. We coordinate everything together. Now we go to the house, you know. But I was able to do that in a timely manner where I didn't have to sit there and fumble around and look 2-3 hours. Like that's one thing I'm finding out, man. When I find good people, I write their information down. I'm saving cards. I'm recording cards, you know, and that's one thing about YPN that's made things easier because I've met individuals not in a professional setting. You know, it's a little informal when it comes to YPN because you're getting to know people. They are professionals in their own light, their own industry. They could be do credit repair. They could be doing escrow. They could be an escrow officer, mortgage officer, loan officer, all these different things, right? But I get to know them as a person first, know how they work, know how they act. And then from there, if I want to choose to do business with them and have them as one of my preferred professionals that I can have on my team that say, hey, I'll refer you to this person because I know they're going to be able to do this for you, X, Y, and Z. So that's what YPN allows you. It gives you a team when you don't have one. You know, there's many times where I just go in a group chat and say, hey, anybody know who this is? Can you give me an inspector? Can you, you know, so it helps, man. It helps. The other thing with YPN, the events are nice because they are networking opportunities, true networking opportunities, but they're only network opportunities if you use them. And I will be the first to say I am an introvert. I don't like talking to people. I don't like dealing with people, and I would say if I don't have to, like if I have to, I'm gonna build the courage up to go. And sometimes I hate the way I talk. Sometimes I don't think I'm being clear about my points. Sometimes, like I promise you, man, all these things go in your head, but I just go through it. I go through it. I network. I introduce myself, and from there I let them talk, and then I start networking from there, man. That's it. And networking is simply getting to know somebody, understanding what they do, how I can help them, how they can help me. Win-win, right? That's how that works. So that's what I want to do. I'm trying to build up clientele, trying to build up resources out here. That's what I'm trying to do. Hoard all that information. Boom. So I could be that guy, man. Mike knows everybody and everyone. And if you need to know this person or you need to know somebody, that's the person you need to know. That's the person you need to know. So absolutely, man. Absolutely. Now, lastly, I wanted to open it up to everybody. I didn't get any questions besides the Sammy guy. But yeah, so I think that was it. That's really what I wanted to talk about. It's been an hour of change, boy. But we talked about property taxes, property tax exemption, the resource we could use, Central Appraisal District, use their website. I even pick up the phone sometimes. The last time I picked up the phone was when we were going through the casita issue, the infill housing is what the city was calling it, where our District 1 rep, his name is Chris Canales. I know what he's trying to do. I get it. And you do got to make some decisions. And I respect it. You got to make a decision, man. So some people ain't going to like it, some are. And I'm telling you my piece of why I didn't like it. And I didn't like what was going on with these infill housing. I didn't like the casitas being built. They're already zoned to be built. They could be built regardless. So if you have a house, for example, what was happening is you had a house and in your backyard you had space and you wanted to put a small, like tiny house there, you could, right? But you had zoning requirements, code you had to do. I forgot what they're called. But it's zoning requirements, basically. How big they could be, how tall they could be, how many people could fit in them, how far off the setback they could be, off the property line, like all these different things, right? What I wasn't liking about this is that they were trying to remove some of the restrictions. And I don't think enough people understand how some of these landlords are out here. I've heard horror stories. I've seen horror stories. I have friends that have been affected by this. I'm a landlord myself, and I take pride in being one and doing things the right way. I overspend on some things when I don't need to, just to make sure, because I always think about, well, if I lived there, I would want to make sure someone was treating me with respect. So that's why I do it. So, like I said, maybe I just do things all wrong and stuff. That's my dog, by the way, if y'all could hear him click clacking. But that's what I didn't enjoy about this piece. So anyway, I say all to say this is that I called the Central Appraisal District and I asked them, hey, tell me a little bit about what these are. What this zoning requirement. They didn't know anything about that. What I was asking more specifically is, how is this taxed? How is this going to work? When it comes to people being informed that, yeah, you got your homestead exemption in your primary residence, but you don't have to live in your primary residence. And now you're renting out your primary residence and you're going to rent out this casita in your backyard. Guess what? Because you only get to keep your exemption on your home if your home, if that's your primary residence. But now you're using it as an investment tool for both your primary residence and that small house in the back, right? The whole key to this was to make sure rents stay low. How is that going to be possible if you got to remove that exemption off? What's that going to do? You're going to raise the rent. You're going to raise the rent because you still got to make the mortgage, right? I just didn't think that they understood that piece, or maybe they did and they just don't want to really think about it. Like I said, maybe I just overthink about a lot of different things, but it is what it is, man. Oh, and I would say the other thing that I had an issue with is I talked about it not too long ago, but we had a water rate. I'm informed about the water rates and what happened. And I went to the meeting. It's the Public Service Board, PSB, right? The mayor sits on this board, and I went up to speak. I told my 2 cents, and I ended up talking about MUDs, municipal utility districts, right? Right. And they try to say, well, that's not included in this rate. That's not included. I don't know if they're trying to embarrass me, little me, and like I didn't know what I was talking about. But somebody asked the question, well, does those MUDs get a special rate? The man said, first he said no, but he said, no. Yeah, they get a special rate. They got a contract. They get, they get a little kickback. I don't know if they get a kickback, but they get something, right? It's not the same rate City of El Paso's getting, the City of Paso residents are getting. So, I go up, I talk when I go to these city meetings, and sometimes they act like I don't know what I'm talking about. Sometimes they act like, oh, well, we need to make sure he knows because he's just pushing out a bunch of information, meaning none of the line. But one thing I don't say, when I go up there, I represent myself, me, myself, and I. I'm a homeowner, I'm a taxpayer. I don't talk about that. I'm a realtor. But yeah, man, I would challenge you guys, call your city reps. I'm gonna start tagging city reps on here and posting them. But talk to city reps, talk to the mayor, talk to the city man. I've talked to these people. I haven't talked to the mayor one-on-one like that, but I've talked to the city manager. I've talked to my District 5 rep one-on-one. They're available, man. They're available. So if you have a problem, complaint, you want to know what's going on with the city, call them. Schedule a meeting. Sit down with them. Be the solution, not the problem. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out here, man. They will sit there and get mad. This went up, that went up, this went up. But there's only a few that go to those meetings in person. And we're all focused on the president. We're all focused on this and that. But I tell you, what affects you every day is local politics. I was a kid. I never thought I'd be dealing with all this stuff, trying to even be a part of local politics. But I do because it affects me every day. And in my industry, I see it every day. So anyway, that's it, man. I don't want to go too long. I'm rambling at this point. But let's see. Best viewers, streamboo.com. I don't know who this is. Remove the space. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Best viewers, streamboo.com. But yeah, that's it, man. That's it. I went way too long. But I'm gonna try to do more streams. I need to do one big stream once a week. That'll help me with the content. But if you want me to talk about anything, comment, like, subscribe, DM me. You can call me. My phone number is 915-487-6602. I am a realtor out here in El Paso, Texas. I specialize in helping military service members, PCS, ETS. They want to sell, buy, any of those great things, as well as locals. I love helping locals as well. Understand their exemptions, understand their rights, understand more about just being financially savvy when it comes to managing their home. As well as I also go to foreclosure auctions. That's first Tuesday every month down at the city at the El Paso County Coliseum. Go down there and check it out. If you guys don't believe me that there's a lot of investors out here locally, as well as people losing their homes, and not only losing their home, but losing the equity as well because they don't understand this. I seen a comment today saying, well, the loan officer should say this, and nobody should be affected by not knowing if they're in the PUD, MUD, or they're in the HOA. I get it. I know what you're saying. Yeah, you understand it. People that are watching this video, people who are literate in this and understand this, yeah, it probably don't affect you because but you don't understand how people don't know. We don't have those conversations anymore. And I promise you, if you talk to me at some point in time, we're going to talk about real estate. Some point in time, man. I will talk to you about your credit. I like to talk about information like that, So I like to have those uncomfortable conversations. So, but not everybody does. So please, this information, you got to share it, share. If you know information about it, have those conversations, man. If you're having dinner with the family, Hey, have a 5-minute conversation and say, hey, who doesn't have an exemption? Who knows what an exemption is? Hey, who plans on buying their first house? This is what you should know. You know, we got to get back to that, man. We got to get back to that. But nobody wants to help nobody. But I don't believe in that, man. I just believe in making sure I push stuff out. That's it. Push it out. You take it, you take it. It's for you, it's you. If it's not, it's not. But anyway, if you know anybody looking to buy, sell, let me know. I'd love to represent them. I'd love to give them all the information that I gave you guys tonight. I give A1 service all day, every day. I try to make sure I'm making that process as easy as possible for you. That's my job. Like I said, if you're PCS and ETS, and I know how difficult it may be dealing and juggling the day of life of being a soldier and being at formation and being over here, but needing to trust somebody to get you past the finish line. I would also challenge you to talk to some of them officers and ask them what they do when it comes to their portfolio. Just ask them, hey, you got a portfolio? You will get some people to talk to you, right? And if you're local and you're not in the military, regardless, man, there's people out here, man, that's doing it at a high level. I'll leave you with this last thing. I'll leave you this last thing before I leave. One of my clients, I like saying clients. I do. I love saying clients. One of my clients, I was talking to him, and this is after the initial, and I'm getting to know him. And he explained to me how his father, when he was 18 years old, told him to buy land out here in El Paso. And he didn't know why. He didn't know why. He said, why would I do that, Dad? I got money. He's 18. He's going to spend his money. He had a couple grand on him or whatever. He said, no, man, you need to buy that land. His son bought that land. And he ended up selling it for about good 50 to 100 grand. Guess where that piece of land was? This was years ago. Freaking Horizon. Just I hear it every day because it's the same way it was in my city. Everything was dirt. There was nothing here, nothing there. We got to remember, man, at some point, everything's about timing. When will somebody develop something? And the moment that happens, you want to be early, you want to be first, then last. Because the first person there is going to buy it the cheapest. The last person that get there is going to buy it for the most. Man, he told me that. I said, wow. Now, on the flip side, I gave him a different story. I told him, well, my dad did the same thing, but it didn't end like this. My dad would buy houses for thousands, a couple thousand. He fixed it up for a couple thousand. We had a real conversation about this. Couple thousand. And he would rent them, lose them because, the people that he was putting into them just, man, they weren't. My dad had a difficult time being a landlord. That's one thing I could tell you. He had a difficult time. But a lot of homes he lost, right? He just let them go, whatever, let them go to taxes or whatever, because he just got tired of dealing with them. He got tired of dealing with tenants. Those same houses 20 years later, just for the vacant lots, almost $100,000 just for the lot. The houses on them about 2-3. Now I'm talking about these houses were a couple grand. And there was one lot that he had. I even remember the day. Oh my God, it was like yesterday. It was a house that he was done with. He didn't care about no more. He threw trash in it. We stuffed it with trash. They ended up tearing his house down. That same piece of land is close to $500,000. So I say that to say this, man. Be a long-term holder, bro. Be a long-term holder. Yeah, things might not be right now, but it's never too late to invest. It's never too late to look into real estate. It's never too late to look into opportunities. If you know anybody buying, selling, thinking about buying, thinking about selling, give them my phone number. My number is 915-487-6602. You can also find me on my website, Mike Clark, El Paso Realtor.com. All my social medias are there. You can actually book a meeting with me directly on that website as well. And you can see some great resources there as well when it comes to food, entertainment, what to do in El Paso, all those great things. That's available as well. All right, man. I really appreciate y'all for staying on for an hour and 19 minutes. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy y'all. Until next time, peace.